European competition. He's doing nothing. Kept very qualified for next year's World Cup. And Medjugorje, the fact is, Cardiff, one of 3 Brazilians in the team, and a couple of Colombians as well, in Medina and Duran, adding to that South American figure. Chelsea, of course, changing from their blue strip to white. Tell us decided by the officials, of course. There's an hostage tonight, headed by Sebastian Gieshammer, who is a civil engineer by profession. And runs several businesses on those lines in nearby Germany. Now Chelsea makes 7 changes from the starting 11, which 1-1. That's Spurs on the centre. Remember, Sanchez stays in goal. Mal Cucurella at the left back, and the match winner, who told them Jean Pedro, will also survive the camel, if you like, or the rotation. And Jean Pedro playing, there's a number 10, we think. And Reece James, the captain, switches from midfield to right back. They'll call Ahmed Chelsea number 1 attraction, who is still out, but there is hope he will be back before the end of the month, maybe before the Champions League fixtures end until the holiday period. The picture on Neto hasn't travelled. The coach who's been in charge of Qarabag for 17 years now, Gudban Gurbanov, talked about being a legend who's on time, is very accurate. The same, and this probably overused. And he says, we have to give the fans something to celebrate if we can, but Chelsea can't tobacco to play against this, who's born ready a victory. Now look at me up, so a more conventional type of victory. It's been wet today. And we're underway. And first, ball played long by Robert Sanchez, and no playing from the back. The start here. And Jean Pedro gives the foot in years, Cucurella. Jean to the Dutchman. Tantaya back. The left centre back, but she's seemingly job tonight. His partner in the middle of the defence is Toshin. Belt by Medina. Who was Belgrade Aviat, who for certainly had as much playing time as he would have had for Chelsea, would have had for the last couple of years. But easy and back into the fray. And Jonestown to contrast to Chelsea. Here he was the legend, Turbanov. There's a regular international player in his day. That's the one playing. That's about 20 years ago now. James England, very wet and wind to the Memphis Bateau. And there's a bit of a children hence Enzo Maresca living right here. So a bench job. And playing selection, need to notice that I'm still quite in the land of little things in the Premier League, but I get back. It's up to be well down to Wanderers. It's a late kickoff on Saturday evening, so time and recovery and rotation is very important. But this is a pretty powerful look at the selection. And Qarabag have power of their own. That is Jankovic into Medina. Had a tremendous European run. The start of those 3 qualifying rounds. Mustafa Zadar, one of the 2 local boys. The goalkeeper is from Poland, Mateusz Puchalski. Really trying to take it down. Arnold to intense down the ball for it up in Chelsea. I think there was Penitence about well. The resisting players turn around him, and then Pedro de Capiol. Oh. Medina is nearly full in possession. A show around the process, nothing worse. Those chatting Chelsea at the back. Captain Zubir chasing. Sanchez, no nonsense. Another Sanchez with a lower pull this and doing out Spurs on Saturday. Came and cleared long shows, which would be kind of an increasing weapon in the Premier League. Not by Chelsea. Here's Silva, the right back, and the Brazilians. Now we're sending across the well. Andrade is there's a bit of a flea roll and has got the goals to show for it. There's Doyle, teenager, aggressive start tonight, and scored against Ajax. Strolls again. He can be a bit of an unarcing Champions League history. But intercepted goals for Team Asia. That's not that too dirty. Was caught chasing paces the incident. That's what was sort of on here now. I said there's a plug muscle. That's terrible. So not near love you. Already terrible. And that's the problem when you don't play too often. Team of the Death. Warm up here. We hippie saw the warm up waiting for the broadcast to start. And it heads on Raskin at yesterday's press conference, which was stationed a couple of the Chelsea training ground. And they talked about they've been managed, as Reece Jones has been managed over the past year. He tells you just very, very nearly. He is distraught and understandably so. There's a lot of concern for it from his teammates as well. And Reece James has been nursed back to being able to play Peter Mush whenever Chelsea want him now. Marista's done that. Gets instantly in, came under the ball. And Sophie Raya tried to cheat. Qarabag come back defending sad, but they break out. At least force Chelsea back to Sanchez. The player, of course, still he'll recognise him. Still player, Moises Caicedo. Make sure he outstanding his season, but was deemed suspended. Also, his second thing, I think, on the bench. Son, probably the best man behind in this now. And then stumbled up to the player. That's all. As Towers a bit of a run on him. Cavi, that damage that sort of his. The Chelsea medical staff have also been very much sympathy. I love you. People said Pedro playing deep, very played up top, double winner. He is more of a deep line player than by nature. And Tyler George, who is a winger, not for the first time this soon, and he's almost converted into a central striker. Really is up the middle in the centre circle. So he's still waiting to get I say that one. Hoto, Tura, splatters up Chelsea down to Med. There's chased it down. Has won a corner. Mr. Mazzali from Play-Doh. The Chelsea ratio is more. Tony shot was blocked by tossing. So, here comes one of the best mature players in the world. They're certainly not short of quality in the replacement, but this is a change of plan. because he'll be, I'm sure, well, they've got a lot of players, so maybe he won't be today. So serve in the Premier League again on Saturday. The goalkeeper has done quite well on his hit back by Caicedo. And I hope he warmed up properly, because that just stretched the leg muscles. And so balance to keep it down. And he couldn't quite keep it down enough. See what he was trying to do. Kind of a travelling housekeep. He's turned in all the games in this competition. The 25. It's not even making a pun and Sumi has spoken. Chad, his Pedro has been playing for Brazil. They have really established himself. Well, it's up around the corner. It's a subtext to Warwick stands now ready for the international players to show themselves in a good light. Gustavo Zadig on by Silva to the 10, so no. That Argentinas. Numbers 4 this part of the game, Qarabag to pursue gets it away, but not very far. Silva. Cappy. And by Tutavang. Not kept by George. And there to get a free kick. Very young to reach. Oh, it's for Montenegro. I've been a handball. That's in a foul. And Pedro Bacalio. And then Chandler decides to ball some over it. And it's Island. Sold down the river. And Chelsea Emily back now. Peters on the door. And the thing test shows some Premier League quality here. There's our Pedro Callan too. They're hard to the battle, Qarabag. No question about that. Victories. To come back and beat Benfica and beat Copenhagen here. It's a lead. In Spain, things I didn't go well, but we'll beat 3-1 in the end. Okay, and a very good account of themselves. So they get very competitive and compared to football in this country. And the jump edger. Sure. And it's snapped wide by Andres Santos. He did well to get forward into that position, but might have made a lot more of it. He was a little bit surprised to find himself there. It's the very best Chelsea goal in a league cut time. Her very smallness. George Hubert to link up with João Pedro. But here's Silva. And they lost all 7 previous games that they played against the English teams. They scored in the first one, it was a penalty. And then it was scored in the 6th since then. So even the guy will be something to interference we put up on the managers. And they left that 5th and 3. And then the captain. Who's Abdelan Zibi in the very must have fallen in areas where in other games they've built from that kind of position, and Chelsea looking to spring forward. A lot of sprinters pace in the team. And team that there. Well, a bit of help inside, any contact from Esteban. Don't see too much of Durant. Yeah, we might see something happening now. And down he goes. Good Colombian. And pushes thing out to the Austrian referee. And I'm not going to look at that as well. Subtly, the pace of Camilla Durant. Couldn't Chelsea backpedal. And then Joy Pack put him in. To the pass was a good one. I think in the end there was too much in it. I'm tired of the player struggling from that angle. It looks a bit more of a shirt grab on Durant, but he's gripping as well. And any question, it was pretty summarily dismissed from the A&R centre. But it's Tosu now. Then the sun just still down here on the ball. And already Qarabag without giving in such as any serious work. And play began to Chelsea trying to play. Well, turnovers, numbers forward. Very similar in the first quarter of an hour. It was Pedro. Signed in time to be part of the Tableau Cup winning in Steta. So they're very proud of that title, as they should be. They will be the world champions in that respect for the best part of 4 years now. Hughes Gutubers. And the Dini Fasivat. Ichalio. Nathadik. And puts a riot tackle, gets it Chelsea's way again. And now Andre Santos, quite mentor really for Esteban. This young Brazilian, Andre Santos, the senior, and one of those has to experience about the clubs as well. Giddens has scored a snap touch at the first goal for the top in that league. Daming Ain scores a week ago. This is a kind of break that Qarabag looking for. Durant is well known. So Chelsea survived. And there is a lot of space in midfield, and it's not quite a basketball game yet, but it's heady step wide. Beers just said it. Goal by was João Pedro. And Esteban coming in. And doing more than that. The addedness of the shot. Caught the goal kick route, and Chelsea lead, and Esteban now to stop back-to-back goals in the UCLAction. And that for an 18-year-old is very special. I think he did go on from the rescue. A bit of a stuck pass from John Hopkins. To be up. No question of offside. And then just a fraction the sight of goal there. But it was enough. So this prodigiously talented young Brazilian. And it has been end-to-end up to this point. That the sharpness of the finish there. But the most inspired moment we've seen, and it's given Chelsea the lead. It's making light of Europe's the way competition. So Qarabag and no unfamiliar position as a thub, and a thing down to English opposition. Plans to rise at only is the first South American player to score in consecutive appearances while he's 18 or younger. He's going to get set. Another substantial records, I'm sure, as his career goes on. And suddenly Santos getting in. Maybe a bit of an arm in the face. It wasn't a swing of the elbow. I'd rather try to say it was the kind of rather saying it was not sinister. Couldn't carry it. And down there's the cutter coming across that. I'm not sure the contact was quite where the person disappointed. Because the flavor singers for watching. Through the fact, native Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. That's a conversation to be continued. Free kick now, long message of a great, I think. They usually do. Oh, it's a pull kick by Sanchez. And here is Zubair, who get to the byline. Well, he got to the byline, but the ball's over, and the referee's decision is a delicate James. Chat you that. He is a very, very good player after that, Zubair. And he seems to the drop. Old goal kick to the referee's point of goal kick. Zubair. It was familiar in France. And it's been a while. Since 2018, in fact. 10 minutes in this one, the host of new players Chelsea required in 2025. It's been an engaging first 20 minutes. So, I mean, on the question of, as they say, parking the bus for the Azerbaijani team. Nesta should the defence. Part of the flip to Raya. Just jumping in there. Jean Pepper is getting a hand out. Well, I said London passed and the one that was in there and led to the opening goal. Instead of joining again here, a little touch and get it back. But doesn't quite link up with George Cucurell's on the thing. It's difficult to cover at the moment. That's Said Owen. And found a substitute for a very unfortunate Lavia. Here's Giddens. On the outside, putting it away by Medina. Drops to James, ring fencing the penalty area. Caicedo. Arter. Now Giddens tries, he's right-footed, he's quite capable of Tamir on that. He was side. Pathway. And then pitching up space and areas this Qarabag some drop off and they dropped it a bit too deep. Didn't side out that. For all his kind ways about it, it's great to have Chelsea here and then something special. It's true. Then he wants to win, he's been a winner. Could have been. I missed a football. There are his parts. Anyway, to Rich being pressed. That's a bell kick. Santos stood to press structures. Kaya has to do it for Chelsea. He speaks 4 different languages, which is great to his credit. One of Rich, of course, now is English. Did spend a little bit of time and was at Chelsea earlier. And was known to Nottingham Forest. It didn't work out at all for a man. He went to Strasbourg in France, which was club were doing for Chelsea. That was Silva. Zubair, Nistura, and Cucurella stops. Then for Viaggio Andrade. Cooperau read the danger. Not all defenders do that. Calio. Back to Medina. Down behind Pleasant. Looks an advantageous spirit. Qarabag, I'd be slightly disappointed with your side like that. They're trying to work it to get him behind. They've got the fantastic, particularly on that left-hand side, where the captain of that, Abdullah Zubir, links up with the left back, ChelseaVsQarabag. This is the earlier attack. We're trying to put it on the plate. Well, the Andrade. Spanish appreciation now between Sanchez and Cooperau. For the benefit, they're in neutral ball in the Champions League. Hato. Paisano. Chelsea don't have too much on injury for this. Cole Palmer says found their star turn. He hasn't played with someone, but said he's making progress, and that issue of defenders now said. Then their turn was left out. The Champions scrolled forward. Let's just try to undermine that issue. And it's shameless to Noia Tracedo. Inside the trust of Sal. There's George. You jump on his side to side. Shoots his kittens. The one side should put him to his right foot onto the left and goes for a cross. His kittens, he was maybe aware of George in the middle. Tell you, they'd love to see on the ball in the other half of the pitch. It was Sapagan, September defending and was very clever. Breja as well. Phil was coming second in that race, whatever he says. And they turned forward. Qarabag was carrying very serious things. There was a bit of a twitch of that ankle there as Cooperau Lavius did the late dish, did damage for the ball. He saw it, but he didn't reach it. Just so nice. Those that just to be inside, should we say, playing a professional football. I'm not sure it's all deliberate. And the rest of that kind of outward-going character. And there's another kind of goal. Just back onto the left foot and hit it crispy enough to be the goalkeeper. There's just a mere sight of goal, but it was enough. But Qarabag defenders, Sicto, didn't really let that happen. Dealing with it, so teenage child. No, this isn't good news. All of those coaches on the bench and dugout. Kelly Borgers. He's 29 now, so he's set to the spur of the club. Now away to Estoril in Portugal. Krasnodar, down Sardust. Someone I call him a joker in the pack over the team. He is really. It does look as though Qarabag has entered. But as a key player, the first respect to Lavia, they bring Caicedo on. So Chelsea, so they might an upgrade. Okay, let's see, should look at the end call there and rolls it. Done. And But getting ready. There's a big man. Mr. Bilbanov. And look, he hasn't given up the ghost yet. It's another the smiles overturn. Off goes Duran. If you get the better of Hatta, he's done that. This Duran. The equalising. Look, he's hit the post with a follow-up. He's in. It is hard ball. And thought I was on the spot to give them the draw. And John Hopkins backing in the goals in this competition. Clarifying Rams at the competition itself. They looked as though it would be Duran's job. But it's to join on the spot, really. Oh, Qarabag attacking midfield. And we said their main man Caddy struggling. They still went outfield, and that's typical, really, how the character as well as the quality that Qarabag possess. But Hatta didn't cover himself in glory. And then Tosin was turned, and the goalkeeper would have wanted quicker reactions from his teammates. That the sharpest tool in that box was the Andrade. And Qarabag had the goal against English opponents. Only their second ever in this, their 8th game. It's English teams. And that's 3 goals in 4 matches in their top position proper. We go with the 3 goals in qualified. That's a big moment. So the club and indeed to the country here. And so Chelsea keeping clean sheets has been a bit of a problem. I would be delighted to get one at Dublin on Saturday. They'd not talk one here after their long journey. So the change is made. Tony has recovered. On comes Emmanuel. That is a Ghanaian. Oh, he did score against Copenhagen. And second China in the first foreign in the league, I should say. There's another player down. Unless it's Tommy Jetons. It looked as though County was doing anything on. So I think he's down there, and it's a rare again in the centre of it all. Gittins is back on his feet. No, there's been a few stoppages. And it's a physical battle as well as a tactical battle. It players unrested and its players. And I don't mean that in a begrudging sense. A bit of fighting trying to come to their country. Yeah, highly prestigious game here. That was John Hopkins, but Chelsea read it back. It was. We only just back to his street, quite happy to off to Andre Santos, and here's James. Esteban breathing fire on Palvar again. No, so successfully this time. It's a damn he's got to keep up with and deep control of. Turnover's a great challenge, and it is. Good goal kick, to reach out of Festival. the struggle started. And that long boys challenging Chelsea with the back. So now gets through directly, picking up the second balls as well. Alto is smaller than left centre back. He's struggling. Game of field for Correa, who's the left back today, and that's huge way of course. And so would it's your side clear. And Chelsea out of time, well up the pitch. He's struck around. And to choke possession hasn't really been the Stoke if they're counting. Lots of challenges, a lot of pressing. This make you for an intriguing contest here. This thing was just over the top slightly. That's João Pedro having to do some tackling back. Get the ball, but there's no ground in the hand here though. And Thoreau, João Pedro Gippers had a bit of space to be shot from it when he does. StamfordBridge. Suits very healthier going onto his left foot to play it across the face of the goal. 2 meters in as there was said. Played on Borussia Dortmund to move up to the final a couple of years ago. The spell with Chelsea is really young still, but the under-8s, and found his way back to the club. Well, Manchester City and Reading and Bundesliga. Mercedes and the Demons had, and soon was Devon for the ball. Just about wasn't. But now, the sense of occasionally Jabir Claus take them on touch. Played in the direction where he wanted to go, but he was quick enough to start it back to Medina. That was the commentator, StamfordBridge. Again, the numbers forward is an impressive part of the play. And really, we've talked about the galloping left back level. There he is. Kelvin StamfordBridge on the charge. Well, sound. The shot really wasn't the best option from that angle. And could have carried back where Zubir was waiting. But Asa Pante and Chelsea look here into short to their area defensively. And that turn particularly fought in possession again. Here is Leandro Andrade. And just squeeze it in. The shot for handball here is given. And Chelsea rock back, having been 1-0 up. But it could be about to go 2-1 down. Hato found himself in trouble. And he's looked a little bit the experienced, I suppose, is the word. But this hand is out. Nothing will change that. Such a complicated rule, or law as I should say. Well, the assistant might have played his part in that here and had a better view of it. The referee looking across. And big shouts from the home players, the home fans. And Gerald Hato was somewhat complicit in the conceding of the first goal. May well have presented, I might just say, handed down for a second. Dantage has been on penalties. They did miss one in the qualifying rounds against the Irish team, Shelbourne, but Dantage to step up here in 7 minutes to go to half time. And he sends Sanchez in the runway. And Qarabag, maybe beyond their wildest dreams, they lead Chelsea. The club world champions, remember, by 2-1. And it's just been turned on its head for Enzo Maresca soon. There's some night carried back to Jankovic, who has been putting his penalties to the goalkeeper's left. Sanchez obviously been briefed on that. Have the skill, quality, and the nerves to go the other way and send Qarabag into dreamland, really. Now, they'd lost their key player, and they scored 2 goals without it since Turkani was injured. No, it's not the night to remember Sofsas or Girolato. There's touching Stoopy in. And Joe's back on his making himself available son Robert Sanchez, but Severson, he didn't particularly want the ball and not get it here. The Sanchez has decided, maybe he recognised that situation. Well, they could have been in again. It's nice to come deep. I said, has his sodas muffled? Just as well from Chelsea's player, there was I think it was a fact from the Street referee. But a sidetracker of Charles Towser, Chelsea players missing out with their families on November the 5th bonfire night back in England. Two rockets pretty inside here, and a couple of them past Robert Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper. Silva. Bound Qarabag. And DNA is to attack. And not respecting his reputations. Who was at the moment under the side from StamfordBridge. It's in 7 to come back and grab and attack your opponent. Into Silva. So ahead of Clifford told in touch from João Pedro, but doesn't reach Tyrick George. Adina Day says you pull over the top. And Jaden series a terrific right back. He hasn't forward been playing every tonight. Has been used in midfield where they do actually play quite a lot in his Chelsea youth days and when he was out on loan. And so he built up a body of work that's taken him to where he is now. Champion for his club and very much likely to be part of the World Cup squad. Fitness permitting, of course, has always been a bit of a question with him. Touching but the ball, Thomas Tuchel. Littens. And just he's also he's out of it, but really sort of jumped out of it. Savvy and us. By Silva. This Dresser. Probably unsafe. And you're thinking Chelsea looking for an equaliser before half time. Caicedo had to like to be part of it. Jittles. How to again. I said, tours, statement figures, tossing. James. Too nice to like this spark here with ChelseaVsQarabag, but I'm talking about the numbers forward. Look at the numbers they get back as well. It's the activation. And this is a player who's done so much at treble Chelsea. Camilo Duran to London attacker. Flick. Clever. Looking for the ball out to Kleinstein. Haddow. There's been so much energy and except put into it. Plenty of passes. I know it's hard. So Andre Santos. Chelsea trying to put out a statement really how they can deal with the physicality. The foot forward is not always the type of football we're used to facing in England's Premier League. His team at the moment being, I should have said, being run into trouble by the rowing power of the home players. Time approaching. And that's where we stand. In point both in more so after Esteban. There's Chelsea, that's relatively early lead, 16th minute. Tough about bouncing back to turning adversity into positivity. When Teddy went off, you could see the reaction from Philip Durbanas. To lose such a player, but the others have more than rallied round. Open to the 3 minutes. Had it on before the half-time whistle blows. So much we've had 3 goals. There's Joe Pedro, and it might be time for another one. George. Blocked by Mustafa Zadar. Again. And a toe, and Ting Harris Reed out of trouble well that time. 2019, plus the best part of £40 million thumb higher paid for the Dutch national team. But I'm relatively sure of their experience like an away game in a hostile environment. I mean, this time not so much from the fans are very boisterous in their back here, Qarabag, but it's just still of the opposition. Make you Chelsea work fun anything with Lakeland Jet. And then I give something here, but half time approaching with drift around. That's Jittins. If he was owing to Bender, they didn't get it elevated enough. That was a pretty easy ball. Pulled the 2-3 off at Qarabag. Sururan survived this poor very late in the first half. He hasn't had too much to do as well. They're corner right on top of him, but he sort of took it away maybe. James does do something similar, so not a high to it. Delphine did his fixture. Santos, that's a run. Laying it to James. They don't abuse the line throw, Chelsea. It's very popular and very successful. They've conceded 3 goals from long throws so far this season. Highest in the Premier League and most in the League Cup. And there's Caicedo. And it does again, but in the end, who was turns. Pele and Leandro Andrade. To the spring forward down our left hand side again, just where this Black Hunter was troubles on this near side of the pitch. Consistently, they look dangerous on the opposite flank. There's distance. And should they that for retaining the lead until half-time for Qarabag. Indeed, there is the half-time whistle. What first half we've seen here. This match was brought to you by PlayStation, UCLAction official partner. Conceded by Azer, converted by Jankovic, and we reach half-time in Baku. Qarabag 2, Chelsea 1. But yet the blight sappers hinterlah destinasinya. just about Joe Justin, but that seems a distant memory now. Liam Delap under Donacho and Enzo Fernandez. Remember, they made one change in the first half, very early on. Kaisera Abkan Bonsalabi. And Andre Santos is one of the players of Champion Gittins as well. And Tyreek George has given away to Liam Delap. He's only just set out on a comeback trail after being injured very early in the season back in August. He pulled a hamstring muscle, and then he came back as a substitute recently in the League Cup at Moors and got himself sent off with 2 yellow cards. So he was suspended from the Premier League at the weekend, and now here he is playing the Champions League at a time of great need to Chelsea. But Hato and a difficult first half. He's still on. Alberto Silva. 2-1 to Qarabag. Chelsea haven't lost a game in the Champions League when they scored first. It's April 2014. It was the semi-final home game at StamfordBridge. How about Madrid? Fernando Torres gave them 1-0 advantage for it, beat 3-1, and Atletico went on to the final where they lost to Real Madrid. You might the call. And it's Deval. He's indicating, showing whether he's in pain, but Qarabag playing on, and the referee has to stop it, and Tones having to take decisive action. He'll get poked. We're dealing with the players pitch here saying it's up to the referee to stop it. I'm sure that's the theme of what's really said. Deval went down, put his arm up to suggest he was in trouble. Apologies. The Brazilian final. Andrade, James and Medina exchanging not the most polite of language. And now the involvement of Silva has seen him shove it the yellow card as well. And Medina, I think, did too much wrong. It was a change of direction that sent us to stumbling, but that was very much James. He should argue and doing it to protect my stricken teammate, but I think he was also doing it to protect the Chelsea back line. So Pedro now being sort of conversation. Now Enzo Fernandez never shy about putting his 2 cents worth in. So, James rightly broke for whatever the motive. The game was still going. Silva intruded too much, and he's got a yellow card against his name. No one going into the game, and if the threat is another caution meeting missing the next game of the competition, which happens in 3 weeks' time. Out of home. And Napoli and Chelsea and I thought trying to entertain their Barcelona. And on the thought cutting. Also at Duran beavering away that Chelsea backline again. Put the direction forth. Well, I mean, in the right places, you can run and run, but if that began, he's charging about moving Chelsea in his way. Back to Kowalski. Just to do with setting off the Hayden instead out behind. Needs a good cross now, and it's certainly not the worst. Was interviewed down will help, and then realised the ball was just bounced away from him a little bit. There was dropped out, but he was clearing the ball. And we've just been both still might be a little bit concerned if the referee sees it a different way. There's no one ready to attack the hand-up ball from the right-hand side. James just followed through into Yadrich. Then now it's good the penalty by which Qarabag lead 2-1. And the potential of a very famous side here, because they won the last home game against Copenhagen, back-to-back winners. It'll be back-to-back home winners in the same season with the major European competition, which is a first for the club from here in Baku. Not originally from Baku. We lost their Hanshaw home. Another worrying circumstances, the war with Armenia. They've been for the refugee club since then. Had to back down their home in 1993 because of that conflict. They may now be able to go back, but there's no signs of Chapedja. James. And a toss in, taking a chance. A big chance against the dangerous Duran. Did recover the defender, but only just. He's getting a no pace. And here's a dive. Cut for the same thoughts. There's pressure. Zubir. And does out of tossing for a corner. And Chelsea are under siege again. Nelson can solve possession, but lightning strikes. Partners darting at them with the gain numbers up in support. To the right. Does again. Miscanos, Madinga, making Tafara chase in. It's a decent point about this. Two good for teammates who'd rather switch, but they were drawing breath certainly to run. Understandably so. It's the first time I've seen him stationary, really. Siberia. McKelney. And back to Yankovic. The lap has to come back and muscle his way into possession. He's done that very well. He's found Gardacho. There's not the juice combining. Esteval's in the middle. Gardacho get another go at it. And what a go at it. The pass didn't come off, but the shot certainly did. The Insta did, but Chelsea and what? It will pass Jim. That had a big part. But Garnacho had eyes for Esteban that it came off Medina. And Garnacho said he was going to give me another chance, I'll shoot. And what a shot. A shot in the arm to Chelsea too. Well, engrossing attack-fill contest is just turning out to be. The Chelsea chum again. And Thorsa corner. Doesn't help that lot arrives from Manchester United. You know, his reputation was a little bit mixed, but big moments in big games. The chalked up went to those at Old Trafford. Well, I was delighted Chelsea that digital time, and he's involved here with Esteval. And bounces off Esteval, past and Correa. And it's an important challenge, like I said, otherwise Duran would have been away. Beat Benfica. Yeah, Lisbon 3-2. Duran scored in that, and Andrade scored in that. Pierced so that the flag is so down. And heads up for that. Let's just stop. And up for an offside decision. My assistants, of course, are told to wait. Then tap that being called offside. Man on the line. And this would help the corner. Chelsea. Lemon and Zamora just at half time, and the seshing up of the team has produced an instant advert. But then maybe now a chance to gain the lead here. And Dolce then again under some pressure. That's a bread from his own Tudnos. To do it away, but safely done. After that, then missing LGL. Pachario. And then it's a ridge. Did spray it. Right or left. Still hit. Tempo. It's even gone up a notch in the second half. It certainly has a second. And so it's Dubin. For Durand. Tells in trouble again. And that is probably in the way to his credit. And stopped Durand just checking inside. We're at a well free path to try and beat Robert Sanchez. As if it was fast from Hato. And it was fouled. And that's why he lost his composure and his balance. That's a very good stop. Enzo Fernandez already tried to place it perfectly teed up. Actually not quite perfect. He'd like to have taken it first time, I think. When he set himself, and it was room for manoeuvre. And the goalkeeper read it well and stopped too well. No, now it's actually about to step in this one. That's it then. Shout out. Third to that. They were the sun here. Blamed it up and sent the goalkeeper. And should have said the goalkeeper saved it. The other side this time did go up. But he's made a difference. He is a natural number 9. Terry George isn't. No shot, Petro. With Nicholas Jackson having gone in slightly bizarre circumstances to Bayern on the day that Talak got injured back in August. The transfer window was still open, and that deal nearly went putsch. There's a foul on bike. I said it. The referee decided to pull up for. Big Chinese, his fitness to give up in the pace of it. Turnovers have been plentiful, more than the Austria to stood their way in time and dealt with by Tosin. To fit right, nicely found by Robert Sanchez. Didn't play in really high in this game. The matchup goalkeeper Philip Jurgensen. And Zamras said yesterday, Jurgensen heard Charles are playing tonight, but he obviously he stepped on it, I guess he stepped on it in the point-in. Chelsea anticipate being back in London at about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I began that with a win in the end. There's Pedro. And we're going to choose to do that. Medina squeezed it away. The space here. But how about to break into, but Subir for once doing wrong. Goes again, the captain. Naomi shut out by Esteban. Bizak down. And the left back, Jahar Duyeth, on a charge again. Pass to by Caicedo. One back by Hada. Caicedo's there again. No foul. So Chelsea had the ball with Enzo Fernandez, who uses the ball so often, so well. He's done that here at the Esteban. He's trying to outrun Medina and then tapped to him. It's a foul, and the dinger was annoyed the game was stopped a minute or so. We felt a bit of license from the referee to just put the ball down and play to restart the game. But every attack carries a threat at both ends. And Hurst breaks up. Pattern. Damage doing well. Qarabag against the Silva. Here's James. And it is. And also once. Okay, we slowed down a bit better. So much for sure. I thought maybe a player was down there. Scanning around the pitch, around his forward here. And turn it on. A full-blooded football here. So they take the odd breather in possession. You can't blame them either side. And maybe waiting. So the change. Some else is the scorer of the first goal. His 50th goal for the club, incidentally. There, Andrew Andrade. And Duran has run his race. Viz giving it absolutely everything. Both players had time to freshen it up, something. Now seven breathing. Does not best plays, I don't think. I have a bit of sympathy for him. 5-1. I'm on tiled by a month. And that very pacey attacker, Nerman, after the Saturday. And let's see. Message. He was sending as him to at this level. Andrade. I know international with Cape Verde, one of the great stories for this enhanced World Cup in terms of numbers. Nations that have never had a sniff at it before have had been with this time. To rear. And who's going to get the next goal? It's pretty surprised if there isn't one. Stood out, stuck by. We have to Rich. Estevao. No, it's wiry straight to go. Spirit and still. Here's Jose Fernandez trying to bend it out. It was probably any more called than Ancho on the opposite flank to just Posey in, bro. Never really in a position where he could have been found. Yeah, Thomas. Philistine long. So on a replacement, he's very quick. With his thumbs, Daddy. White is physically forceful as Alice replaced Domino Duran. Who has got his attributes. No. Now here to StamfordBridge. Super. Softly. And Qarabag said so both sides are tearing their lines, gearing up for the social finish. As a decent try, it wasn't perhaps as plainly hit. It might have been that presided. Now this burst didn't come on as well. That's a Jamie won a player. It was a nice touch from here, the substitute. Bite on off. Sanchez was a short boy on the left hand post was. What's up? The Gen slowed down will suit Chelsea. The quality and the ability to fit Coleman. So slow, it's a flick. And is fouled in front of his boss. Oh no, his ball boy. It was Toshi. I don't know how to me or the most that some of the has come out of again. Chelsea, of course, not that long off the plays because it's such a like if it's any flight over 4 hours, you don't have to fulfill the media obligations that's the away from them. So Chelsea actually spoke to JS in Baku from their unchained ground fine when the online loops Tilak that did score a goal, boiled up into the Delta. Oh, there's Chelsea down. Could have shot lined up with Denzali. Now taken down by Yahad Zuyef. And a jam jumping forward. And the slip by Haddad. And those slips from Reece James. Pushing the right way out. But he's been lucky. So is Jay ahead of the ball prematurely. And challenges back. Now here. Shot from the substitute. And for Zadia. Maybe Russia base whether was a try to be done by the 2K, so there's only 21. Already an international. With Azerbaijan comes to the way to Zubair, dangerous man to present possession to. Silva. It's a bit congested in there. They got to try and find a bit of room, and they go wide to do that. Zubair. Button them off. Zubair. Chelsea pushed him back in territory. No net by Tosin. Out to that already, who are the first choice central defenders for Chelsea. Chalaba, who's in there, voice for Thana. So he was playing, the mature Thompson playing well at Janssen, 19 years old. And Chelsea, I think, they took the pace out of the game. Jonathan, just and furious. And they sprung the trap here, I think, with Enzo Fernandez. Little Tom's right to me. Cross towards Janacho, but taken from him by Sylvan. This is more like Qarabag. The first hour. Numbers top in attack. About Cassano will sue that out. And then was perhaps somebody in control of the situation. Sylvan has been galloping up and down. Now, as you give them 2-2 and the 3/4 mark of the game, and trying to all start to go and do after the did. They'd be a handoff, but I said just dragging it wide. Business tip of his play that really tore behind when he had his season in the Premier League with Ipswich last season. He's another through the Manchester City stable. Son of Glory, of course, who was famous for the long throws. Better player than just to be labelled that. But he ran international, but then signed up with England, and there's a candidate. If he can put some good games together to make the World Cup spot, even a bit short of definitive backups for Harry Chain. Holding up, he was leading up to the race, but he's not in very good form at the moment. The EuropeanFootball. Still with Danny Welbeck recall it coming out 35. There's James. Yeah. Then the and it's 10. And Thursday, however, has really taken his toll. Start to and the change is it cramped. This cramp is so fair to do that. If it's a hamstring, it's the very last thing he wants being done. Sometimes it's difficult to tell the two. The 52 is so on. Yes, to the edge. He will be able to carry on. Otherwise, he might be finding himself sitting out till Christmas. So it was a bit more than 20 minutes to go. The clock showing that, but between stoppages, substitutioners. Not too many VAR checks, to be fair, which is not interfered with the enjoyment of a really high-power game until almost at the same time Brest didn't seem to get low on fuel. So it's a Finder Buonanotte. Comes on for João Pedro, both with the connections to Brighton, of course. Buonanotte on lunch, and Brian Joe Pello signed from Brighton. And it looks as though it might just be cramp. And it's usually down to tiredness. Selective hydration. That's suggested with that. There is two first stats, something else. Sweats torn. No. Dana. Point here, Chelsea's way. This sportsmanship it's good to see where we're going to involve the next thing. It's just he's filming Ukraine. Because after that was started off the scoring spree, trying to put himself in a position to maybe end it. The only lighter opponents to try and fire the blow pass, and was able to do that. Like I said, couldn't quite get there to us, and along the legs took him to the with the ball dropped a little bit quicker of the two. That is James. Otto. So the atomic change. Front man. Need poked as the other. Telling on. And then yes, someone playing at full back. And then Jeff already up for still and holding his position. So if it's the that kind of did you and the ball to get at him. Let's say, but the ball was inside. Put that plat towards Enzo Fernandez. James. Trying to maneuver through to Esteban and Haddad. More mistakes now. Lots and lots of turnover. Keeping the ball is more in Chelsea's domain. Silva, dummy bolt. Let's see. Tasha. No, in fact, that's down. Jeffrey here. Run. I mean, who can send? Free to miss at the end of it, you'd understand. And it's Sebear's eye off as well. He was approaching the bachelor size. He's 33 now. been a very fast-paced game. They kicked this in. Passes to Mustafa Zadid. He bolts out finish. Sure, he was no relation to Usain. It was number 18 born in Rio. To Tursu's manager. And gesture. And then they put to shut down. And he's a lively attacking player. Then you just sense slightly better hand and dealt to Chelsea on this stage of the game. Down to Rich. Just in the fouls. He didn't really need to go that hard at it. It's an awkward one for one. And Finzada is the player he fouled. Menon and share for the point, having a player aware as the positioning of the opponent. That begs a decision for the referee. So 50 minutes plus a good chunk of stoppage time to go in a game. It's been hugely enjoyable and is by no means done and dusted. Tanecho coming on. Except you need for Chelsea at 2-2, which was where we stand still. So set pass forward by Fernandez, who goes again for one gear then. LiveMatch. It's about towing out. There's a bit sloppy again. Shati, Patch playing a part. Banloff did well in a stadium which is named after Bastronov. Tufu. Back from off, who is known as the man who flagged England to World Cup success in 1966 by raising his flag as he was running the line at Wembley, being against West Germany. Jeff Herschel, the underside of the bar, had come down Poser line, and the goal was driven on his say-son. Cyclone stay to that sideline. Joves. Pastor away from Barama. Still dying. Oh, and you see the defenders on the mode. Chess players weren't. For once, Enzo Fernandez was standing still. The ball didn't reach him, and it had done so. With it being a 1-0 tactic chance. They started punted each other on. To view the slippiness of the conditions. Some instructions forward. Baronov. And then Russian 7-2 and is in the job. You don't have to really nice like this. So bad. No, I mean, I was still 1-0 before 7 attempts against English Bloods, and that was a penalty. We're looking to number 3 here at LondonNight. That was so doing what he does so well. Stadar doing what he does so well. It's promise in this Chelsea attack here. And ends up Fernandez. And he just didn't quite cuked it down. And driving on. And it's worth the take. Elusive. Elastic. That's the verb. No, very much serious. Astri. No tossing. It's Jankovic. Found tidily. Whoever thought that go over was Fernandez philosophy. Always were. No, it is a tap. On the street of the world. Talentia. There's James. Where's Crujon? And the carry on as the goalkeeper came out. Crujon walked away from the collision on Everton. I'm not sure we can say the same about Matthias Kralski. Well, hopefully we will. Just a few of the ball if you're right, to be fair. Aski's teammates looking out them, of course. He does play right on the edge. Hard to Turan. Here's Barama. Sudan to no. Did they just around flying Qarabag store again here, but by two towards the Sanchez is straight away thinking of how he can trigger a counter-attack. And mindful at the 8 seconds possession of the ball, which came in this season, hasn't called too many goalkeepers out largely because the referees visibly count only up there, and Anime gets to 5, only up 5 fingers. And so the coming into in the next 3 seconds, you just pretty sure. And then he was. If it was one in the Premier League and the only day of the season, not trying to work his way through. Chelsea Champions League football for him. They're just only to Chelsea. Yes, to that out. Down there. So now this getting behind with the looking for that. Again, well timed for the midfield player. Quickly taken toward in by James. Where they catch up. Chelsea 1-0 down. Also 1-0 up, then 2-1 down. And now let's just go 3-2 up. The west of that. Oh, maybe he should have done. Well, he believes it was diverted up and over the bar with fire deflection. I don't know how long it will be before we have VAR intervening on those sort of touches. Certainly in movement from the zone makers. It might well affect our popularity in this instance. He says not. Hey, really, officials say no, that's the most important thing. Inside the last 10 minutes. There's still a result that's on the line in the league system. And so maybe not quite so immediately crucial as it might be in the old group standings. But that descending will be probably the best win in European history. Although winning in Benfica would count for a lot, wouldn't it, recently? With that, didn't large the sack. Shows on the of the job. And that was, I said, sticking out a foot. The foot's coming in behind him was Funzata. I haven't strengthened so much in the last 15 minutes or so. And that showed to achieve the ball, and I sprang forward. My Debbie Bolt. And the tap there already back in to team. Their team here in Baku. The other thing's all back to back. Home wins. Qarabag. There's a fair push of insurance. Sanchez was really dominant in those situations. That bigger goal keep this around. And they get and figure it all the time with draws. Well, not draws, but they are. Here's Fitzgerald. And that's it. It was a nice goal from midfield. He's shown that at Brighton and unloaded of Leicester. I think that's up for that. There's him behind. And that's just Chelsea tried to that position a few times. We're now quite pretty out the killer ball. And there it is. it was a distal ash here, tall, and he might have nabbed it. There we go. So, he'd want Janacho to be further in, around there where the ball dropped rather than standing in what she's done. Almost over here to the penalty area. Should have picked himself out the tap in for a second and maybe decides to go. Why is it Chelsea? I think 80 just on the clock. Short corner from Chelsea. Janacho, but I'm not saying. He's going to have a pack. And it wasn't too far away, as I say. He's dropped the highest goal in him. The young player from Argentina played a couple of times. She was country. Needs regular football at this level. So build on that. Maybe get into the World Cup story. He's a bit off it at the moment. He was a bit off it with that shot. But worth the effort. And it's Jankovic, who's at least taking a breather. But no, what time Chelsea's playing battered under Leeds, but I don't want too much out of it. I think unless it produces a winning goal, of course. 10. Around for the jump, out for the 3 points. That was the plan. They've only got one at the moment. Who's bound to his effort? She's always rearing away. It's only has to come off. But just a regulation. Very thin. That was the game now. That's accused. Experience him up to a limited that breather to maybe take some of the sting out of Chelsea and his the momentum has been with the Premier League team. Now let's let me go the cards out. Failing to restart quick enough. And that's his Askew. And so if he just didn't get, and Lloyd Turchi at them. Maybe it was Medina. Does that goalkeeper West Town as well? But Medina was doing to be the culprits that was sending out a particular message. Three minutes plus stoppage time. I'd be surprised if there wasn't somewhere 7 or 8 carried on. That we'll see. There's gesture. Coming back towards Adi. James got there just. He was only just able to get a toe. Maybe a bit later, he might well have conceded a penalty. He was on the ring side, really. But another. So now there's this Algerian veteran very involved to see General. Esteval's been there from the start. And now there's again. This Hato, a much better 7-half without being pressed as much at those. As Deval. I was trying to hold him up. After that, there's a shot. And I thought maybe a handball. Did a hit to that on the way through. Robin was just trying to sort of poach it into the corner, but this was shot. But else to come it back and just saw it. But yeah, you did get there first. And that is very fine matches. And heavy green, just a moment quitter. The shot over penalty. That was the one at the other end. Can add Bahato. No, the Tufiraya. Here we go, the centre fan is just probing. Sometimes it plays, sometimes with no perception on pace. There's Esteval. And he was waiting again to be set up. He still tell you goals like that when He's dying to the penalty area. It was an attacking midfield player. His short time with Benfica. They're on a pussy. He won the World Cup and filling it up. Now a very high team. And Chelsea splashed the charge. Tosin, 90th minute, but they're not long. A defender. But now it is. Chelsea got a way go lemon. John really spread across the width of the pitch. Ball coming up. Here's James. On to Esteban. And that's fine. Is there again in that position? Oh, some opportunity should be saying, and that's a cherished free kick. With Fury, found Caicedo too much for the referee. So size, it's a bit longer than that. It will seem a long time to the fans of Qarabag, and maybe their players as well. Chelsea, who's regular sophomore, is playing a fin tilt. Night to the final whistle from the first to the last. Marcel, I don't have the resources here to chest himself back in front of a vital time. And here's Medina. No chance. And no hurry. Tile. Byron off. And there's once the result this will do. Yeah, no, they were 2 out. Another point. It might be more than that. But no, just the ketchup in. Just needed to put it wide of Sanchez. A lot of opportunity. So put them in front, it had in time. Well, he's done it, Joe. Hope you to do the same at the other end. And he's still going. And 3 minutes of stop each side still to play. The brain was such an issue in there. And it's to Valve. Done ahead of his man and got Joe, and the goalkeeper get the other. Brilliant. Typically struck shot from the Argentine international. Looking to win it. I mean, draw it. This goal early in the second half. And it was in the right position to go for a goal, man. He's what I call it. And Chelsea, the stop at deep front set pieces this season. This is to do the delivery. Done particularly well. And it's cleared by Bicala. And it might be more than a clearance because there's so many players up trailed. It's Castro. Waiting for Danny Boat. Cleared. Or more than cleared by Chelsea individually. His other team man is setting Chelsea, who was stirring, then sprinting forward. They could have done Chelsea at the time. We're desperately trying to store in the dying moments here. A wonderful game. The great Brighton. Very AzerbaijaniChampions. They fought tooth and nail. No, during Chelsea far. Well, brothers, and perhaps from a neutral perspective, you would have expected, but I imagine that Enzo Maresca was pretty surprised. He would have done his homework. The Bosch stacks of downs and the Hackgreen stacks of downs for them 6. Through the 3 rounds of the qualifying part of the top of the tissue. There's Esteval. Well, on top the point in the back there. Back turns Galacho to try and divert it into the middle. Pushing well forward. James. And that mark just stern for Qarabag, a great crosser of the ball. Did he produce a great cross set? But this is the man to the other end. His head's stopped there. He'd done a cross his hand. So it was just on the long posts. That goal, he didn't want it to go straight into the grass or the goal deeper. The amateur try to just get through his last few seconds. He even playing Chelsea, that was a victory. But his team, almost filled the platform from true victory. But a part will seem like 3 and more, really. To a contest of this help. It had so little success against the English clubs. But is the time for one more Chelsea attack? One more chance to break the hearts of Qarabag. Here's preamble, but the sharp end of it. But the final whistle has gone. It's been a wonderful walk. And I say